Welcome back guys to History World Archives, and I am back with some more shocking, surprising photos of the previous generations, how kids lived in the past, and it's gonna shock you quite substantially. We're gonna start off with this first photo. This is how babies flew in airplanes. That's right. They had a little basket literally on the railing only for babies. This is just insane. I mean, in this day and age, obviously that doesn't happen anymore, but that was a normal thing back in the days. This is shocking. I guess this photo is from about 1950 or 60 approximately. Moving on to, yes, I was right, so actually, yeah, 1950s, right? Next one, this photograph from a Vietnam War shows the American soldier risking his life to save two Vietnamese children during a gun battle. Now this guy is super brave. I mean, this guy obviously, he had to do his duty as a soldier, but he didn't want to let these kids die. So yeah, really brave on that. But yeah, these kids like living through war, that must be shocking. Now this guys is hilarious because this is a baby car seat. That's right, security car seat in the 50s. Very basic, very thin, and yeah, I mean, there wasn't much to it. I mean, yeah, just that's it, just the railing, and I guess they had the seat belt here because you can see the seat belt over here. But yeah, the frame, it was quite uncomfortable, to be honest. We have a Los Angeles police officer looking after an abandoned baby under her desk. That's right. So yeah, apparently baby cabinets have been around since the 1950s, even though this looks to like a holder that would send modern mothers into a furry. These are actually very normal occurrences apparently for a couple of decades. Okay, so yeah, so police officers would find kids and keep them in the station for I guess a day or two or whatever, and these women will be in charge of taking care of them until they can find an orphanage for the children. Yeah, pretty much. Now, the cost of having a baby in 1943 was only $29.50. Look at this, so cheap, right? I mean, of course, the prices were obviously very cheap as well. You have $10 for the board and nursing, delivery room $10, anesthetic $5, laboratory examination $3, and drugs only $1. $29 to deliver a baby. Now, I tell you that is super cheap. Due to inflation, $29 is about $436 today, which is still pretty cheap for childbirth. Today, a hospital birth costs an average of $32,000. That's right, this is crazy, guys. I mean, talk about inflation. This is way beyond inflation. This is just robbery, daylight robbery. And you wonder why in modern society people don't want to have kids anymore? Because it's too expensive, that's why. Now moving on, we have a very interesting photo. This is a nanny dog which is often in charge of babysitting the children in the late 1800s to early 1900s. So over like a couple of years, basically, these dogs were actually in charge of taking care of kids when their parents were working, effectively, right? Yeah, so this is quite crazy, right? These dogs were pit bull terriers, an animal that makes for a good watchdog because it's friendly, loyal, and stable. Yeah, pretty cool, isn't it? Then we have another one. So this is a London orphanage. They look like they're window shopping for a baby brother or sister. Crazy. Yeah, so this is a orphanage in London. That's right. Which year was this? I believe it doesn't say the 20th century, but I guess it's again about the 1950s or 40s approximately. Now this one is a sad one. This is a mother and a child sit among rubble and burnt trees 4 months after the atomic bomb of Hiroshima, Japan, 1945. Their life was completely destroyed. I mean, this kid, just imagine he has to grow up in literally nothing. So yeah, I mean, if you're a kid now, if you grew up as a kid or you're a teenager or you're in your early 20s, just remember that there were kids who had to live through post-war, which was pretty damn horrible. Next one, we have the following one, guys. This is the first day of school for children living in Texas during the Dust Bowl. It was a period of strong dust during that time in 1931, when a decade-long drought hit the southern plains in 1931. It was as if a bomb went off. The land was ravaged, animals consumed anything that they could eat, and the rain refused to fall for almost a decade. It was impossible to farm, and the land seemingly fought against the very people who needed to survive. Still, life had to continue. And yeah, this is people living literally in the desert. That's right, crazy. I have another one. A seaman meets his baby for the first time after 14 months at sea. And this is how he grabs the baby. Seriously, man. I mean, have a bit of class, you know. Well, you know, it's funny. This is Liverpool children, 1942. Back in the day in London, actually, during the Second World War, every single person would receive a gas mask, and they would have these sort of like moments of trial, basically like rehearsal, where they would walk around in pairs to simulate that a bomb has just fallen, and this is to protect themselves. So yeah, just imagine you have to literally do this like every week or once a week or once a month. Put the mask on, so you have to go to school and always have the freaking mask next to you because you don't know when a bomb is gonna go off. Well, that's scary. That is super scary. And we have a Vietnamese woman carries her children and possessions on a bamboo pole as she tries to escape fierce fighting in Saigon during the Vietnamese War in 1968. Again, crazy. Look at these kids, man. I mean, just shocking, you know. There's a soldier here in the corner. Like, just imagine having to leave your home and just take a bunch of basic things with you effectively. And yeah, these kids who already had consciousness, they know what was going on, they have to live through a destroyed world, basically. Again, shocking. This is a funny one, but at the same time, you know, again, stupid traditions. Basically, a young girl poses with a doll of Krampus, the half goat, half demon, anti-Santa who takes bad children to hell in European folklore. Yeah, that's right. This was anti-Santa, to make kids feel kind of scared and make them behave. But why would you dress a half goat and half demon? I mean, come on, man. Be a bit more serious. Crazy. we have... Yes, I mean, this is not even funny. This is actually quite scary, man, because in the 20th century, some families had no choice but to send their children to work off in horrible conditions with a pickaxe, right? Between the Second Industrial Revolution, between 1870 and 1914, business was booming, and yeah, people had to fill labor. At the end of the 19th century and beginning of 20th century, there were jobs for everyone willing to put themselves in danger. If a boy could wear a helmet and drag a coal when they could get a job to help provide their families, then they would do it. Just shocking, guys. Yeah, I mean, just imagine. Like, how old is this kid? Maybe, I don't know, 7, 6 years old, 5 maybe, I don't know, but already literally working hard for his family. Shocking. That's right, it's just super shocking. We have children and adults share a blanket while sleeping at their bomb shelter in southwest London. That's right, just living through Second World War, obviously, and yeah, not knowing what's gonna happen, you know, like at any point in time. Again, horrible times, horrible times. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 kids, 8 kids. I guess that's 8 kids. Just crazy, guys, and 1 parent. Insane. Yeah, it was cold, and there was always the fear that if they burst the water main, we might get flooded. They were the early days, so the spirit was quite good. We got a fairly well together and mocked in together. People did various things. The kids used to play. There was a photo of me putting up Christmas decoration when we had the bunks. So yeah, pretty bad, guys. And we have another one. Children are strapped to a radiator in a mental hospital in 1982. Yeah, pretty serious, pretty shocking. Then we have another one, which is raising a baby used to mean boiling diapers. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So here we go. Boiling diapers. I mean, this is a classic one, you know, to make sure the kid doesn't get infected, obviously, because the diapers, there wasn't any pampas you could buy. You always have to boil everything, and that's what the mother was doing. Pretty old school, right? Here we have children eating carrots on a stick during 1940 when rationing was in full force. Yeah. You want food? Here's a carrot, pretty much, because there was no food. There was literally basic amount of food for everyone because of the Second World War. And this is what happened for people. No food. Crazy, guys. And we have a coal miner's wife with 3 of their children in a company house, West Virginia. Look at that. I mean, he was already working. He was already working, obviously. And the baby was just born. So yeah, as you can see, pretty sad, man. I mean, just those conditions were just horrendous. I mean, childhood back there was no childhood. As soon as you were 4 years old or 5 years old, that's it. That's your childhood gone. You have to go and work. Work for your family because your family is freaking poor, and if you don't work, you are going to die of hunger. So that's pretty shocking. Another very interesting one. This is a couple holds up their newborn babies for their grandparents to see them on the other side of the Berlin Wall in 1961. That's right, because obviously families were separated, and the only way you could see your, your family if you were separated by the wall is to just see them across the wall. Pretty shocking. Yeah, I know. Crazy guy, right? Here we have children learn how to swim in the schoolyard in England. I mean, come on, like, are you serious? There was no water, so how do you swim? Well, just pretend you're floating on someone. That's gonna help you, isn't it? Shocking. Oh, wow. Now, this one is a quite surprising one. This is a family posing on the camera with the family of 16 children. That's right, guys. This is crazy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I bet these are twins, most likely. So yeah, 16 kids, like from the lowest to the highest. That's just insane. And the parents, yeah, I mean, I don't know how they would survive, but I guess they would get some government help, I guess. And the mom had to prepare like a ton of food. I guess the daughters, obviously, they would, be babysitters and carers as well, especially these three. They would obviously do a lot of housework, and I guess the guy as well, already maybe working, I don't know. But yeah, crazy, isn't it? Just crazy. Here we have a group of kids having their first experience with ice in front of a New York grocery store in 1912. The first time they see ice, and they're completely shocked because, touching it, smelling it, licking it, I guess, because it's a new thing. Like you don't see ice like daily because we're talking about the early 20th century. People were super poor back in the day, right? Super poor. This one is a bad quality one, so I'm not gonna talk about this because the quality is really bad. But basically, there's again kids working in really bad conditions. Here we have a child seat with a toddler in front of the bike. That's right, really classic, rustic. Here we have another one. Children dig through the frozen earth in search of potatoes in Ukraine. That's right. These are kids basically working on the farm with their parents, obviously, to get food because of the famine, right? So in 1932 to 1933, Ukrainians experienced famine that they referred as the Holodomor, or murder through starvation, all right? The country was being starved out by the Joseph Stalin, leading Ukrainians to literally dig for food and eat anything they could to survive, while the surrounding countries pretended that nothing was happening. That's crazy, guys. Just imagine, man. I mean, how evil some leaders can be. Just insane, man. Just insane. It says children eating turnips and cabbage for a holiday dinner during the Great Depression. That's right. Do you want meat? Do you want chicken? Do you want bread? Well, guess what? There's nothing. All you have is turnips and cabbage. And be grateful that you have at least 2 veggies, because that's even already a lot. Yeah, that's right. This is the Great Depression. So people complaining today about the veggies should receive a slap on the back, because you have so much food right now available, and these kids had barely any basic food. That's right. There were 4 of them, right? There were quite a lot of them back in the day. Quite scary, guys. Quite scary. This is children take part in a duck and cover civil defense drill at their school. Quite typical back in the 40s. This was normal, effectively in the 50s as well. In 1936, Floydborough and Tangled Children, Alabama, the children wearing 4 flour sacks dressed the only material they could afford in those days. That's right. They were wearing flour sacks, right? Because they could not afford proper clothes. 1936. Yeah, just crazy, man. And just imagine like living with a flour sack, a dirty, smelly flour sacks. Just crazy, man. Just absolutely insane. Seriously. Couple ice skating with their baby. That's just wrong. I mean, that is just wrong. Come on, man. You can injure that child. Just stop that. Stop being an idiot, right? Anyway, moving on. Dinner toddlers on the streets of Columbus, 1913. What's this? what's this? So basically young girls today going out on their own and selling dinners to strangers who were working in factories and mills. Right. Yeah, crazy. So these were kids selling food to adults on the street, and they were barefoot, all right? They were barefoot. Crazy, man. Just insane. That was a way of life. Yeah, that's right. There we go. And yeah, kids today just have tablets and iPads. Just be grateful. Be grateful you were born after the Second World War, because it was just horrendous, man. This is February 1937. Children who live in a migrant camp in U.S. highway near Birmingham, Alabama. After the Great Depression, there were still families which were struggling massively. Okay, crazy. Here we have Native American children which were required to attend the school and assimilate into modern American culture. 10,000. They had to assimilate and they had to basically be part of society because the native kind of culture was removed, because they had to assimilate and be part of the new American culture. This is a much more popular photo. This is in 1908 in Lewis Hine left his teaching position for a full-time job as an investigative photographer for the National Child Labor Committee. And this is a photo taken by this man, a girl literally working in the cotton factory. Yeah, that's right, because she had to support her family. Crazy, man, just crazy. This is parkour before parkour. Children play on the fire escapes of the inner city. This was the precursor of parkour. Pretty interesting, you know, there we go. Being adventurous, even girls, you know, everyone, yeah, just doing their thing. All right, this is nurses giving jaundice babies some sunshine treatment. Yeah, so giving them some treatment because they were ill, so that's pretty good, pretty nice. Ronald McDonald posing with a terrified child. Yeah, I mean, look at the child, man. The child, what was this? Sorry, my bad. The child is just terrified. I mean, just crazy, man. And this is why you don't use clowns, because they're freaking terrifying, at least for everyone. This is another depressing photo, but this is the truth of what happened in the world. These are street children who are sleeping near a grate of warmth in Mulberry Street, 1890-1895. Yeah, that's right. Homeless kids sleeping on the street. Quite sad, isn't it? This is a terrifying children's book, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark series was written by Alvin Schwartz and illustrated by Stephen Grammel. Really? I mean, seriously? Like, this is what kids would read? This is so scary, man. My god. Horrible. Right, the whole force of workers in the cotton mills of Stevenson, Alabama. Basically, the vast majority were children or teenagers, as you can see there. In their age, maybe like the eldest ones would be maybe 16, 17 years old, and the majority basically just kids. Yeah, kids, you know, crazy guys. But yeah, that's it for today's videos on this, guys. The story, childhood back in the day was just crazy, and be grateful, like I said before, be grateful that today you have a much better life, because you don't want to be living like these people. Or even like these kids. Like, be grateful that you don't have to go through this, because in this day and age you have a much better life. At least most of you guys, if you have internet, if you have food, if you have basic stuff, you are literally 1,000 times in a better situation than these people who were born before the Second World War or after, just after the Second World War as well. And guys, for today's video, make sure to subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell, and I shall see you all later in some next videos. Bye.